Aloha to all the Hallmarkies. This is very exciting. We are here to talk about the new movie that just aired on Up TV, Romance in Hawaii. And we've got our the spirit of Ohana and Aloha with us. And I just had to have our friend Camille here to help
Yeah,
recap this movie because she's from Hawaii. It's so exciting.
I aloha everyone. Yes,
Yes.
I lived in Hawaii. I've been living here for 20 years, but I just want to, preface that I am not native Hawaiian. I lived here for 20 years, and I don't take hula. I've never taken hula classes. So I am not an expert. I did try to have a friend join us who is a hula dancer and
Yeah.
native Hawaiian, but that fell through. So I'm just gonna I'm not an expert on it, and I hope
Yeah.
to
Well,
respect respect the culture though by
yeah.
giving my 2 cents.
Neither of us are by any means experts on but I have been to Hawaii 4 times. So I love
Yeah.
it there. I have a great
Oh,
love for it. And so it's gonna be fun to talk about this film. I haven't been since 2011. It's been a while, but I do deeply love the Hawaiian Islands. And which island do you live on?
I live in Oahu, which
Okay.
this movie seems like it's set on that movie because it looks like it's set in Windward, Oahu.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because I had a man's hat, Goat Island in the background, etc. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the basic description of the movie. So this is directed by Nania Miyata, and the writers. She's one of the writers, and Carolina Espiro stars Kelly Jackal and Cedric Jonathan and Peter Porte. And it's Leah, a successful financial executive, discovers the missing passion from her life when she starts taking secret hula dance lessons from handsome local Akika while on assignment in Hawaii.
Ikaika.
Kaika, sorry, Kaika. So overall, I guess we'll start out. What did you think about this movie overall?
I think it was good movie. It respected a lot of Hawaiian culture. And also, a lot. We talked about a conflict last night where it was like pretty dramatic and stuff like that. But I do have to say, a lot of the conflict with Native Hawaiians and land developers, like Leah's character, um, there is some truth behind that, like
Mm-hmm.
her and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, no, I think it was pretty good as far as respecting the Hawaiian culture. I love the scenery, obviously. I think this is like the one of the first TV movies that I've seen. Mind you, my repertoire of TV movies is usually Hallmark movies that are set in Hawaii that actually shows the Hawaiian culture
Yeah.
in genuine way. So I think that was great. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd give it maybe 3 stars.
Yeah. What was really surprising to me about this movie, I really did enjoy it, but it was actually not filmed in Hawaii. This
Really?
really surprised me. Yes. I didn't realize it until I watched the movie and I really enjoyed it. And then I noticed somebody mentioned that on IMDb and I was like, what? And it's true. In the credits, it says the entirety of this movie was filmed in Los Angeles. I was like, what? They did a very good job,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think.
And I mean, like they fooled me because I mean, like the mountains in the background and stuff, they look like the Kola Mountains and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, are you sure? Because
I mean,
oh,
if they were able to convince somebody who's lived there for 20 years, that's pretty good.
yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They were good. But I mean, that
It
doesn't
does.
make sense to
It,
me. You would think that making LA look like Hawaii would be more expensive than making the movie in Hawaii.
yeah.
Yeah,
It is very strange. I don't know why they did that, but it does say in the credits this film was shot entirely in Los Angeles County, California.
that is
I
some
was like, what? Wow. uh,
bullshit.
but I think that this is extremely respectful of the Hawaiian culture and particularly the tradition of the hula. I feel like I learned a ton. I didn't know that there were all these restrictions about who could teach the hula and these different that you have the kumu as the teacher and not
Yeah,
in tourists just can't that there's these hapahole. And
yeah.
I apologize in advance. I'm sure I'm going to say a lot of these Hawaiian words wrong, but I had no idea that that was a thing. It was very interesting to me.
I want to invite you and like any of the listeners who might be interested to watch it. Next month is Merry Monarch. It is March 31st through April 6th. Merry Monarch is the biggest hula competition in the world. It
Oh,
happens on Big Island. You can live stream it online. merrymonarch.org or whatever. MERRIEMONARCH.org and stuff. And it's like the biggest hula competition in the world where they have different schools from the mainland, from Hawaii, from Japan, everywhere. Come to the Big Island and they sort of celebrate. They do hula competitions. It's beautiful, 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 and stuff. And yeah, you get
that sounds good.
Oh yeah, it's so fun and stuff like that. I never got to see it in person, but I've seen it like on TV and stuff. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. And so I guess there's this, the schools, what do they call them? Hapuana.
Yeah.
Yeah. That see. So there's the teacher who's okay. So it's the schools are called Halua, HALAUA. And that's
Hello.
the Halau. And that's the hula school.
Yep.
And when you join the school, you are joining the Ohana and committing for a long journey.
Yes.
And so that's why the hapahole is not going to usually be admitted into.
Yeah. They have their hula is a closed practice because for many, many years, for like centuries, since the missionaries came to Hawaii, hula was illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, really, hula became more popular in Hawaii when tourism became a rise because, like, people started welcoming tourists on like at the Aloha Tower or whatever with hula dances or something like that, and that's when it became more lawful. Now, they talked about it in the movie where there is really two types of hula. There's hula awana, which is more modern hula. And you can tell that it's more modern because it's more conservative dressing, more covered dressing. The music is more using modern music such as guitar, radio, whatever. And then there's hula kahiko, which is my personal favorite, which is more of the classic hula. And that's more like, with ancient Hawaiian chants, usual ancient words. They use the drums, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, it's like I said, the whole history of hula is so deep. If you guys want to learn more about it, like just there's a lot.
Yeah, he tells her the main purpose is not to entertain, but to perpetuate and preserve the stories, culture, history, and traditions of Hawaii.
Yeah, because a lot of stories in Hawaii for Hawaii is oral. It was ancient Hawaii, the Olelo, a native Hawaiian language, was never written until a written language. It was always oral history.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we think of it because we think of like a luau, this kind of a
Yeah.
thing, but that's really just scratching the surface
Yeah.
of the tradition.
And did you know that what you call men at first were the only ones doing hula? They
Mm,
did. The kings chose the best men as warriors by going down to the villages and looking at the hula, who's doing hula, and the best men doing hula were chose as the best warriors.
hmm
So yeah,
Well, and it's not in Hawaii, it's not as much the hips as we see in like Tahiti. I think the what we see is the hula girl. Isn't that more it came more from Tahiti than from
yeah,
Hawaii?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Again, different Polynesian cultures just are all have different dances because you also got the Cook Islands, Tahitian dance.
hmm
They all have different movements. Samoans also have their own dance and stuff. But yeah,
hmm Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies. People ever get over to Hawaii, it's really fun. And on Oahu, there's the Polynesian Cultural Center, where you can learn about all of these different cultures in the Polynesian Islands. It's really fun.
yeah,
I remember them talking about that like Elvis and his Hawaii movies were a big part of the reason why in the 60s the the hula girl and kind of a lot of what we think of as the stereotypical Hawaiian things that's a big reason.
yeah, yeah. The coconut shell broth.
Yeah.
Thing we don't like. We use how like the grass hula skirts that you see sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really what we do. we used yes, but we didn't know. It's not.
Well, the grass skirts, that was more Tahiti, right? Than Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is it's I always like learning about different cultures. And that was what was so cool about this movie is I really did feel like I learned a lot. And it was just very respectful. And I saw one review online saying, oh, they went too far, it became boring. And I'm like, fair enough, if that's what you think. I didn't think that it was too far. I felt like the drama got a little intense, maybe at times. It was a little much with the mom, but I overall thought that it was pretty well done for one of these kinds of films. And the thing I connected with is that when the first time that I went to Hawaii, I was very unhappy. It was in a hard place in my life. I was really unhappy with my job. I was really unhappy with my life. And I just hadn't felt happy in a long time. And I went like genuinely, like joyfully happy in a long time. And I went to on this trip, and I just remember just like one morning just like crying because I just was feeling joy, and I hadn't felt joy for a long time. And it was just looking at the ocean and just feeling happy. And it was a big kind of it was a big moment for me where I was like, you know what? I need to feel this more in my life. This is
Yeah.
ridiculous. And so I started making some changes. I ended up quitting that job, and most of the good things in my life have come out of a result of the changes that I made in 2007 and 2008 that were hard to do. And that was I think that trip to Hawaii. And then I ended up going four times in between 2007 and 2011. And I haven't been since, but it was just like this place. And it sounds, I feel like corny to say it, but it really was a place of rebirth and renewal for me. So I connected with that part of the story of just her being this like overworked, frazzled kind of person, and getting to the island and seeing this beautiful place and connecting with something that was joyful and like the beyond herself. That I thought was really lovely in the movie.
That's the magic of Hawaii, it's like if you let yourself feel that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because well, we have there's a lot of like Native Hawaiians, a lot of Hawaiians here who, are tired of tourism, and it's sort of take that's what the mom's stance is, because did you watch last season of American Idol? The winner of American Idol is from Hawaii.
Okay.
And during his interviews, he said that his whole family moved to Las Vegas, and the judges were like, well, why did you move to Las Vegas all the way? Why did you leave Hawaii? And he was like, he was priced out of paradise, priced out of paradise. And that is very true with a lot of people who are from here. Is like the cost of living has gone high. The land developers, like Google Mark Zuckerberg and what's going on with him in Hawaii. Talk about Oprah Winfrey, all these things. They are like literally taking lands from natives and stuff like that, and just like developing it and stuff. And because of that, the land is high, the cost is so high and stuff like that. And that's where I think the Kumu's attitude is coming from, because and a lot of Native Hawaiians feel that way. It's like, stay out of my land. This is ours. This is our thing. There's a lot of distrust with haoles and stuff on this island, especially if they're land developers, especially if you're from the mainland and stuff like that. But, I said, the whole thing that you were saying about like the joy and like finding peace and, spiritual, awakening, I guess, that is just part of like the magic of Oahu, of the islands, if you let it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But a lot of people don't.
Yeah, I think because people, because it's vulnerable. People don't want to be vulnerable, and so they feel like it's cheesy or whatever it might be. That they don't let it fully work over them, and I think I was just at such a low point that I was ready for whatever it could give me, like the pride had gone and I needed it, and it gave it to me. And so I always be grateful for that. And I really do want to get back there, and that would be fun. That would be really fun.
Think how Hawaii has changed you.
Yeah. Well, so what the setup for this movie is that she is working for an real estate investment type company, and they go in and they buy land and they build on it, they invest it, whatever, and then they profit off of it. So they want to buy. There's been a tax lien that's been put on to this property in Hawaii. So what they do is they send her and her coworker, played by Peter Porte, over there to then put in a bid at the auction because this property has a lien on it. But because of the type of property it is, a company can't purchase it. It has to be an individual. So they're hoping that if they it has to be a private sale. So if they kind of impress the family, then they will be the ones that get the sale, is the idea. And so that's why they're sending these over on this individual basis.
They're like, we have to earn the trust of the family. And I'm thinking to myself, you have to earn the trust of the family by lying to them.
Yeah. And they could have made like more of a deal of that. Like it could have been this like big scandal, but they didn't really too much. I mean, I think because like she at that point had by the time that the auction is going on, like she has proven herself pretty well. I thought they handled that like liar reveal, for lack of a better word, pretty well. It's really just the mom that's upset. But when she sees that she's her connecting with the ocean, she realizes that she's not a joke. And but it kind of takes her. I appreciated again the journey of the character, because she starts out, just doing this thing at the hotel, this little hula lesson, and she's just having fun, she is just shocked at how much it moves her.
Yeah. She was attached to her phone, and Kaika like dragged her up on stage to do it or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so funny because when you sent me the link to the preview, I watched the preview and I was thinking to myself, like, that girl looks familiar. And she's from the acapella movie with Anna Kendrick. What is that? Oh yeah, movie?
Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect, yeah. That's where she's from. And stuff like that. So.
Yeah. And she's done a bunch of these movies of the week. And I like her. I think she's good. And she does work in some singing into this movie.
Yeah.
But I thought she was good. I bought her as this character. I thought she did a good job.
Yeah, like I said, I love the characters. I love that again. They respected the culture and stuff like that. That to me was important. And I liked again, they did like touch on some realities of with the Kumu, with how natives feel about
Yeah. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Baker Bookhouse and their spring releases. First, The Seamstress of Acadia by Laura France. Caught between the warring French and English on Canada's rugged shores in 1755, Sylvie Gallant is forced from her Acadian home and family and is alone in colonial Virginia. Now, the enemy soldier who once tore her world apart might be the key to restoring her shattered past. Next, The Irish Matchmaker by Jennifer Dybel. Catriona Daly is no stranger to the business of love, even though personally she has yet to find it. Eager for a match of her own and a fresh start away from her sleepy village, she makes grand plans for the annual Lisdorvarna Matchmaking Festival. She never expects, however, a shy, widowed sheep farmer to distract her from her goal. To get ready for summer, we have Just for the Summer by Melody Carlson. Ginny Masters manages a Seattle boutique hotel but is tired of the rat race. Jacqueline Bowman manages her grandfather's fishing lodge in Western Washington, but she longs for city life. Eager for a change, these women swap jobs for the summer, but it's not quite so simple to find the happiness and love they're searching for. And finally, Sandkissel Inn by Irene Hannon. When a man struggling to recoup from a tragic loss and woman still reeling from an unplanned career detour join forces to save a floundering B&B on the Oregon coast, they might also discover that hope and healing can sometimes be found in the most unexpected places. You can pick up any of these books wherever books are sold now or later this spring and save up to 40% off on these or the whole spring book release list at bakerbookhouse.com/featured/rebel-fiction or use the affiliate link below. That's bakerbookhouse.com/featured/rebel-fiction. So I like this Cedric Jonathan. I'd never seen him before. He was new to me.
Yeah, he's new to me too. The pictures I've seen of him on Google looks different than he did in the movie because he usually has facial hair. So when I actually saw him, I'm like, okay, God, okay, he looks good.
But they should use him more. He's good. He's very not only very attractive, but I thought that he was effective as an actor.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
His acting out the conflict thing was just a little much for me. I was like, that just seems really, really fake.
I thought that the mom was the weakest actor, just as far as performance. She was very flat. But I mean, I appreciated the character and what she was doing. It was a little over the top, and maybe that's part of the reason why it sort of fell a little flat. But she was the weak point for me in the as far as the acting. I do also think it was a little bit distracting to have Peter Porte as just the secondary character because he's so handsome and you just expect him to be the leading man. It was a little bit strange.
He could have had romance in Hawaii. Come on.
Yeah.
While he was there. And he was like the jackass, the jerk. No, pretty much most of the movie. There was like, no redeeming of his character or anything like that. Like I would come on, have Peter Port like play a real. If you want to make him play a jerk, have him like actually see some change in him through the movie, even as a side character.
Yeah. Like I think he was in the script. I think his purpose was to make her never really be the bad man of business. So you could have two of them, and she was the good one, and he was the bad one of business. But because I just think the casting was off, because you just can't have somebody as attractive as Peter Porte and pretend like nobody is like even interested or like. I mean, it's the curse of being beautiful is that you have a hard time playing roles that aren't beautiful because he is just so beautiful. And so I don't know. It probably wasn't the best casting, even though I like him as an actor. I really do.
Yeah, I liked him too. But
it was distracting. I kept thinking, okay, she's going to become interested in him, or he's going to become a real threat, or there's going to be a love triangle of something. You cannot have Peter Porte in this movie and use him so little.
I know,
but they did.
I don't know Up TV's background on it or whatever. So they probably have never done LGBTQ stories. But like I was thinking, considering Peter Port is gay in real life, I was thinking myself, Hawaii it's very, very pro LGBTQ. You gotta found some love here.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too. That could have been fun. Been like, surprise! Look who I met. Island too.
Hawaii is called the Rainbow State for a reason.
Right. I did appreciate her boss character. I appreciated that they didn't really demonize her. And even at the end, she says, thank you for being like a mentor to me and teaching me so much. And they have like a nice moment. And I appreciated that, because that's such a cliche of sort of the ice woman of business that you have in movies, that just because you're a successful woman, you have to be a jerk. She wasn't a jerk. She just was, like this was their business and this is what they do. And so I appreciated that too.
There were some moments though where she was like, I mean the whole I felt misogyny coming from her. The way she was to her about how but I mean it's probably the reality of the business where she was talking about like the men will look at you different if you're doing a hula dance or they see you dancing or just having fun or whatever. Or
that's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, she was concerned about, she was trying to give guidance to to what's her name? I forget her character.
Yeah.
Leah about how she might be perceived in the world of business. And maybe it was a little much, but I think there's some truth to what she said about the business world. And so I could kind of understand that. Maybe it was a little much, but they could have definitely made her more of a villain is what I did appreciate, that there was some humanity to her as a character, so I liked that. And I also liked her and her friend Kiki. That was sweet. And that helped a lot in giving it a Hawaiian feel, is that wherever they shot that, it did feel that, and the Kumu's house it really did feel like Hawaii. They did a good job with that.
The Hawaiian fabrics. I was like,
yeah.
I don't think anybody's house that ever that hung up like different types of Hawaiian Aloha fabrics. I'm like, did y'all like Miss Hattie's? Like, what is going on?
And yeah, it did look like they went to like Savers or something like that, and in Honolulu, just we got to pick up this and this and this.
Like Hawaiian and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't think that's how. I've lived here for 20 years and I've never seen anybody's house decorated like that.
Fair. But, it did help though, I think, overall in selling Los Angeles as Hawaii.
I'm still that it was set in Hawaii, not set, but it was like, because like the mountain background, it looks like Windward Oahu.
Yeah, well, I mean, they obviously had some stock footage, of course. Yeah. But yeah, they did. It was excellent in that regard. Yeah. It really was. They did a wonderful job with that, and so you see her start to become more and more interested in the hula after she has this experience, and so she goes and talks to him about taking lessons. And he says, "Oh, we don't do lessons for tourists. That for the hapu halawe." But he says, I'm not a kumu, and that if you want to learn from an actual kumu, you have to join the hula school. And so, just explaining all this to her. But he says that I can teach you outside of the hula, and we can only use English songs and only basic moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when she says, for the first time in a long time, I'm feeling alive. Which I could definitely connect with that for sure. And she also she had this great love in her life, but she chose her career basically over this man. And she feels like, well, that was my one chance. I messed it up. By the time I had changed my mind, he got married. I missed my chance. And so that's kind of her attitude going into this whole experience.
Yeah. But she went back. She said that she went back to him like a couple of years later. I'm like, things changed in like a couple of years.
Yeah, he got married.
Yeah. Yeah.
He also refuses her pay when she tries to pay him. He refuses, which I feel like is a noble gesture, but he worked. He taught her a skill. Like, he should have taken the money. Like, you're not a better person because you get paid for your hard work and services. I mean, you're not a weaker person because you've gotten paid for your hard work. But
there is, I feel like there's no dignity lost if you still get paid for your work.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't. Also, like, that's why, like, as a private business owner myself, when people ask me, like, oh, do you have a discount? I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly. I'm barely hanging on here. There's a tax lien on this on my house. Like, I can't be giving away free stuff.
Okay, but I say, like, go, but we're friends and we're family. And I'm like, okay, go find a cheaper person then.
Yeah, exactly. And so they find out that the plan is that if they win the auction, they're going to level it out, and it's going to be the new place is going to be for 300 guests, 100 rooms. And she tells Diana, I think it's the boss, and she says it could sustain generations of family and community within Hawaii. And and then she says, I forgot I wanted small things. So she'd been so focused on these big deals and these big things that she forgot just the like small moments, which I thought was another nice moment in the script.
Yep.
Yeah. Then they sing the Sweet Hawaii song.
Yeah.
I thought that was nice. Nice little musical.
Actually, that's the first time I've heard that song, so I don't know if it's a real song or not.
But it was nice. I liked it. And then she gives the flower to the woman on the beach, and she puts it on the correct ear. And he says, how did you know how to do that? And she's like, I just sensed it that was correct. And she says, I thought I was content at home, but being here at the island, I didn't know I could feel more. So again, another nice moment, I think, in the script. Yep. Yeah. And then we find out the reason why his mother is as difficult as she is that his father got into big debt, and then he left. He abandoned them, and she never got over it. And she's very worried that he's going to turn out like his father.
Yeah.
So that's sort of her concern. And then they almost kiss. They get so close, and he's like, oh, I'm your teacher. I can't. Like, oh, come on. But the mother gets very mad about him giving and I'm sorry, I'm going to say pau skirt.
Yeah.
Is that right? The mother gets really mad at him giving the pau skirt to her.
Yeah.
That is a line too far.
Yeah.
She feels.
Yeah, it's again, it's just those costumes, the dresses or whatever, they all have like different feelings to it. So you can't just pass it on to another person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I mean, I'm sure the one I have a skirt like that, but it's like, I'm sure it's like a touristy version. It's not like authentic, but I've got it at the flea market in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Oahu.
Like if you watch the Merry Monarch or whatever, you will see, like, especially with the hula kahiki, a lot they use like different leaves for the costumes for the skirts, so especially for men as well. Those are all handmade. Like they make like and stuff. So yeah, it's all like they think of it. They look at it as like their spirit goes into the making of the clothes and stuff. There was some I have to look up if there's there was a documentary about it years ago, but I don't know if it's like on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
He tells her that that he's feeling terrible because for all these generations, I'm the one that's going to lose everything, and so it's just really a tough thing. And then the mother is upset with her, and except with him. He's the heir to the property, so he's the one in the end that has to make the big decision. And so that's why they're all very suspect of her. She's just doing this to just pretend. But that's when the mother sees her dancing by the ocean and realizes that she's for real.
Yeah. But he also overheard her conversation with Michael and Diane.
Mm-hmm.
That's the overheard misunderstanding conversation trope.
Yeah, well, and that's when he says that I'm the one that is going to lose everything.
Yeah.
That after generations. But then we find out the auction is off, and the family's attorney got a check from an anonymous donor who paid for the lien just in time to pull it from auction. Which I think is believable. I mean, she's got to be doing pretty well. I mean, she's had this corporate job. She doesn't have any dependents. She doesn't. I mean, it seems like she probably have a good little bit of savings to be able to pay this lien, and so turns out she is the anonymous investor, and of course. Diana immediately knows that it's her who paid for it, but she didn't want to see. She says, "What I invested is small compared to what you and the Prescotts would have made, but displacing the family that owns the land and that runs the community center, it's small. That it's about following my heart. And it was about following my heart. So,
yeah." And they're gonna do what looks like fish farms, aren't they? They're gonna do with that land.
Yeah, there's something like that, and you keep the community center.
Yeah.
So she's gonna stay there, I think, in Hawaii, and she says that she thanks Diana for being a mentor, and I did think that was a nice moment between the two of them. And I liked the fact that they didn't kind of end it as like business bad. It was like a little bit more complex than we sometimes get in these movies.
Yeah. That's the other thing that's the other reason why I have a hard time like totally believing this was not set in Hawaii. Because they had like we have prawns, like the whole prawn.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like North Shore is literally famous for our shrimp trucks.
Yeah.
Famous for our shrimp trucks.
The shrimp trucks are the best. I love them so much.
And it's like so hard to believe that they did all that in another state, but they literally had done it. It was so.
Yeah. Do you ever go to Ted's Bakery on the North Shore? Oh, it's the best. So good. The food in Hawaii is to die for.
Oh yeah.
It's so good. I love the masadas. Oh, they're so good.
I love malasadas. But I was telling one of my friends, I was like, who's here visiting, she was asking me to be her tour guide, but sadly when she was here on this island on Oahu, I was at work, so I couldn't tour guide her. Anyway, I told her, I was like, go to a mom and pop store and like order a Hawaiian plate. Don't go to, one of the fancy restaurants in Waikiki or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Because A, it's too expensive, and B, the food is not gonna be probably as good. But if you want like a genuine Hawaiian food experience, go to like a mom store and stuff.
Agreed. Go to the shrimp trucks. She says that I messed up with this really great guy who I might have feelings for. I think I might love him actually, which it's always a debate in these movies. Do you use the L word? But I'm usually, some people get real hung up on that. I don't really care because I do think sometimes when you know, and sometimes you know quick. So it doesn't really bother me. I know it's a big deal to some people, but I thought it was cute, kind of flirty. And he says, what if he feels the same way? And he's not the teacher anymore. It was cute.
I don't understand why people have a hard time believing like a person could fall in love with somebody else after 2 days or 2 weeks or whatever. So I'm like, did we grow up watching Cinderella movies? Like she fell after like one dance.
I think it can happen. I believe in it. So maybe that's just me, but I think sometimes you know. I really do. And you can have like a really intense experience in a short period of time. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't like still date or still I don't think saying I love you is like a permanent lifetime commitment. If he'd proposed at this, then that might have been a little much, but I was fine with it. It was cute and flirty.
So cute.
So I've been waiting a long time to do that after they kiss. I've been waiting a long time to do that to my Aloha girl, which is cute.
Oh my God.
So I enjoyed this. It was not perfect. There were flaws, but for the most part, I thought it did a very good job of respecting the Hawaiian culture of teaching, informing me about the whole traditions around the hula, and I found that interesting, and I liked both the leads. I liked both of their performances and how it just captured the transformative experience that being on the island can be and be for a person, or just like a transformative experience in general, whether it happens to be Hawaii or any other place that when you're in you're in that spot in your life where you need to be uplifted, and sometimes life uplifts you, and that's a good moment. If people want to follow you on social media, how do they do that?
Hallmark Heartbeats, well, you guys know how to spell Hallmark. Heartbeats, HEARTBEATS. That's both on Instagram and Facebook. I have also on X or Twitter, whatever you guys want to call it, Hallmark Heartbeat 1.
Great.
So yeah.
Well, thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate you coming on.
Mahalo.
I'd like to thank Camille for coming on and talking about this movie with me. This was a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know what you think if you get to see it. And please follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps a lot. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. And check out the Patreon group and merch store. And thanks again to Camille, and aloha, everybody. Bye.